Hold on, sorry. Sorry, lost the screen. Just a sec. Okay. All right. Good morning, moms in real estate. Kristen and I are excited. It's been a couple of weeks. We've had master classes and other things going on. So we're excited to be back with the morning show. And today we're going to be talking about, getting in the room, right? And what the rooms, getting in the right rooms, and if need be, creating the right rooms can actually do for your business, and even beyond your business, what it can do for you, like emotionally and personally and all the things. And Kristen, of course, is like the ultimate room creator. So there's nobody better to talk to about this. But hello, friend. I'm excited to be back.
I am too. And I love this topic, obviously, because I love creating the rooms. But I just got back from being in a room and being at a retreat and being around women that were like hungry for growth and connection. And I had a blast. So I feel like even if you're creating them, you've got to be in them too. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Well, and can we just talk, can we unpack that for a second? Because sometimes I think that we naturally in our head have this issue where, hold on one second, the team is like, you're not sharing the right screen.
Uh-oh.
So this is I'm just sharing my screen. Hold on a minute. Why am I not sharing the right screen? So this is weird because it should pop up. Wait, hold on. Is it now? Is that the right screen? Thankfully, we have an amazing team behind the scenes that is like, hey guys,
Thankfully,
how about?
because it is not easy.
So we're still sharing Facebook and not the screen. Okay, hold on a minute. Let me see.
We'll
I don't know how.
pause.
We're pausing. We're pausing. Technical issues. I don't know how to, like, how do you share a different screen when you only are sharing one screen?
I don't know.
Shouldn't it, in theory, be the one screen? I
I
don't
don't know.
know how
I'd
that
assume.
works. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. We are going to just pause, and then our team will play back our live stream.
Perfect.
So we'll keep talking about the conversation, and then our team will play it back. So thanks for hanging in there with us. But on that, do you ever find that, like, as you're, especially when you're creating the rooms, that sometimes like we think that, okay, like now we create the rooms and then we don't go back and actually join other people's rooms, like and just even trainings and education. Do you ever find that you see leaders that kind of hit that roadblock?
Yeah, and I can say like how just even from like my experience, it's easy because you're busy, and so it's almost like I don't have time to do that. But it's so important to make the time because you are in a completely different headspace when you're the one that's leading the room versus the one attending the room. So I think it's really important to remember that and be like, you need to be in the right headspace to be like receiving um throughout the year for growth. So I think that that was like a big, I've got to like remember. So like right now I'm planning my 2025 rooms that I want to be in and making sure I'm strategic about it so that all of a sudden I don't get to 2026 and be like I didn't even invest in myself, you know?
Yeah, that was huge for me. I got to be at a retreat that you did a couple weeks ago, and I even shared there that like it was so interesting to like watch somebody else, like kind of putting it all together, and to just realize that there's so many areas. Like it was powerful for me because there's so many areas that I hyper focus on that maybe don't need that hyper focus. You know what I mean? And there is no right or wrong when you're doing this. And that's also, I think that's something that's important is I will see moms say, okay, like I'm doing it, I'm attending my first event, and whether that's a conference or it's a retreat, then they'll go and it's not their thing. Like they're immediate, like, uh-oh, like, no, I didn't have connection, or the culture was just different, not bad, not good, right, wrong, just different. And then they're like, that's it, like I'm just going to stay in my bubble and I'm not going to go into that. And the biggest thing that we want our listeners to take away today is like, the hack in business is getting in the right room. There's inevitably somebody that has the exact business that you want to build that just 6 months or a year ahead of you. And if you can get in the room with them, that's going to expedite your growth. But I think it's important that that means you have to show up more than once, right?
Yeah, this is such a great point, and I'll tell you from my experience, I have had so many women come up to me at events and tell me it was so hard for me to get here, but I'm so thankful that I actually showed up. And then I
Right.
have people in my community that are consistently in my community that will tell me how awkward it was in the beginning for them. But once they continue to do it, I mean, you guys, at the end of the day, consistency is everything, everything. So like it's going to get easier the more that you show up. And you're going to be so grateful that you did. I actually had a girl tell me this at this retreat. She told a story about how she had moved from her hometown into to Florida, and she didn't know anybody, and she had this crippling anxiety. Like before she'd go anywhere, she'd be like in her car like hyperventilating. Like it was really bad. And one of the girls that's a community builder in Florida that I went to her retreat, she invited her to go to her event. And right before the event, she said, an emergency came up. You need to go without me. And the girl was like, oh my God, like I can't go if you're not going to be there. And she's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. And she went and she like met a bunch of people, had the best time. It completely helped her with like getting through her anxiety. She decided when that event went well that she was going to be consistent in it. She showed up at the retreat. She's like, I can't tell you how like easy it would have been to just be like, I'm just not going to go because she's not going. But like, what comes of it if you just push yourself and get comfortable being uncomfortable and remembering it gets easier? It's gonna suck, but embrace the suck like you have to with everything in business. Embrace it until it gets better. I just thought I told that girl when she told the story, I'm like, I just love that you told me that because it just reminds people like me. I always say, like, I invite people all day long, and sometimes people don't ever respond to me, and I still invite them the next time and the next time. And it was such a good reminder to keep doing that because people need to be invited and they need to get out of their comfort zone and they need to show up in these rooms because I know what it does for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I think too, it's a lot of times I found that the most powerful conversations happen in the small room, right? And so it's like sometimes it's really good to go to these big events, but it's just like in your brokerage. What is shared from stage is limited, just like what is shared, from the producer down the hall is limited. It's filtered. And it's when you get in the small rooms that I feel like safety is created. And it's the opportunity to say, like, oh my goodness, like I do struggle with this, or I am
Mhm.
feeling this way. And when that vulnerability rises, which tends to happen, not to say it doesn't, we're seeing it happen more and more from stage and things like that, but even then it's like an arm's length away because it's what's happening for the person on stage. Whereas when you're in the smaller rooms, it's like the person speaking is sharing it, but then you can actually relate and there can be a two-way conversation. And I just feel like when we realize that whatever our struggle is, whether it's production struggle, whether it's a confidence struggle, whether it's marketing, whether it's completely emotional and like just around like how we physically and emotionally, mentally feel, like when we can realize we're not alone in that, it just makes it so much better, right? When it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only person out here with that issue. And also, I think when we realize, like, no matter where people are, and this is such a huge lesson, everybody has a struggle. It doesn't matter if they're super successful and selling 100 houses a year, or if you're the brand new agent that's trying to figure out if you're even capable of doing this. The thing that is universal is that there's a struggle for all of us. And like when we realize that, it unlocks this like freedom, because now it's like we don't have to allow our fears or our struggles to hinder us. Like everybody has them. It's just part of the process and we just get to go, right?
Yeah, and we've got to talk about our struggles because the more you talk about them, the more you find people that can help you with them and or people that can like relate to you. I feel like I never am shy about expressing what a shit show I am and what problems I have. And I'm so thankful that I do that because all of a sudden, like, the right people are in the room when I'm talking about it, and all of a sudden I have somebody to like help me. And like, even for example, it was really cool because one of the things I've always struggled with is like I've been stressed out since I was 8 years old. It's almost like this natural thing for me. And at this retreat I just went to, there was a stress management coach, and it was really cool because I just like opened up about like kind of just a bunch of stuff, and she was there and we got to have a lot of one-on-one time. That's what's so powerful about the retreats is like you'll find that like people that are educating when you're spending this one-on-one time with like the experts at the event, like that's so valuable. Like I got to have dinner with her and talk to her about all kinds of things. And we did one-on-one time with a lot of people when it came to like my whole topic was creating income streams, and my friends was all around finances. And it's just really cool when you're in those intimate rooms because you get that one-on-one time and you get to be around people that you probably need to be around.
Well, and you know what else I find too is like 9 times out of 10, nobody is like bringing something proprietary, right? Like everybody is kind of like doing something that somebody else is doing. But what I love is like you get exposed to different things and how you want to apply that to your business.
Mhm.
And so I see that all the time. It's like I'll just see a snippet of something and I'm like, oh, I love that they're doing that. I'm going to tweak it like this for my business. But even at
Mhm.
like your retreat, I remember the very first event that I drove down to Arizona to see you at was like a Breathe Works event. And I was like struggling.
Breath work.
So we're in work. There you go, brain work. So we're at Kristen's house in like the backyard, and I'm like laying there, and I'm just having all these issues. And this is just me being transparent and vulnerable. Again, not right or wrong, but like as a Christian, I'm like, what am I doing? Am I supposed to be doing it? And I'm going through all these things, and I'm like, you should. There was an aerial view, like I was just a mess over here on my mat in Kristen's backyard,
I would
and
love to see that if there was one.
I'm like struggling. I'm like, yeah, anyways. Um, but I sat there and all of a sudden I just changed my perspective. And I think this is like a powerful note to wrap up today's show on. Is like I realized I was ultimately going to be responsible for the experience I had. And I could sit there and I could find like the reason it wasn't comfortable for me. I could question if this was like my scene. I could do all these things. Or I could change my mind and ask how I could pivot what was happening to fit me. And so I was like, there's no reason I can't slow down and pause and just talk to God during this time. Like, I don't have to say exactly what she's saying, and I don't have to do it exactly like she's doing it, but I can slow down and I can talk to God. And as I did that and I laid there, I was like, wait a minute, this is so cool. Like, what if instead, and I don't remember exactly what she was doing, but she was walking through us. And I think she was doing like mantras or something, or like positive affirmations or something. But I
Yeah,
was like, what if I walked through and I like led people in prayer? Like, what if I was
Mhm.
like, okay, at this moment, like just really think about what you're, whatever. Like, I just thought about it in a different perspective. And then that was a pivotal moment for me where I was like, hey, even if I show up in a room or a space that is not 100% like, oh, this is my jam, I can get value in it. And it's my
Yeah.
responsibility to see what I can take from the room and how I can apply it, right? It's not, instead of sitting
Yes.
there, like, oh, the person, and this was not the case with this, but instead of us having the perspective of like, this isn't hitting the mark for me, or I don't like this, or I'm not getting what I thought I was going to get, what if we change the framework of to find the thing that we need that we can pivot with?
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you that is like you've got to have that perspective. You might have a topic where it's, I don't know, a topic about social media, and you might be like, oh my God, I'm so good on social media. I get all the things on there. Like, well, you might learn something. So just like open your ears and and if the more open you are to receiving and finding a gold nugget and something somebody says, like if you're a know-it-all, and you can't do that, like that would just be, I don't do that. Just like be
Yeah.
open and try to find like the good in all the speeches because there's always something.
Yeah. There's always something or always someone. That's the other thing. And we'll wrap. I
Yeah.
know we said we wrap now, but this will be our final note. It's like you never know who you're going to meet, right? You just never know what door is going to open. Like I always, this is like my arms linked to like a big introduction that I'm so proud of. But I remember I was a broker trying to turn my brokerage's office around, and so I was like looking for anybody that was willing to like come in and do things in my office. And at the same time, there was this lender that was like, and he'll tell his story himself, but he was like broke and he was about to go out of business. And so he's looking for anybody that would let him like create a, like do a class in whatever. So I invite him in and I was pushing it out like everywhere. So some other lenders came to it. Long story short, if you know Neil, who's freaking amazing, and he has the
Amazing.
Forward Academy, and Neil is like a massive success story. Went from struggle to being a multimillionaire, a few times over. Anyways, him and his business partner Trevor met at that event. And so I always feel just so cool to have been the person that like created the space to where these people met. But honestly, I had absolutely nothing to do with it. They each made a choice to come to a room and then they met each other. And now they've built this entire business, Forward Academy, that empowers thousands and thousands of agents and lenders across the country. It's one of the biggest events you've ever gone to if you've ever gone in the real estate industry. And that happened because they showed up at an event and they met each other. And so like, you don't know if it's your next business partner, you don't know if it's your next client, you don't know if it's a mentor, you don't know who it is, but you don't know what, when you show up in these rooms, who you're going to meet and what that's going to lead to.
Amen to that. I have made more like there's been more opportunities showing up in rooms with collaborations than I can ever even think of. So I love
100%.
that.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in for the morning show. We're excited to be back. Jordy is in the mirror and on the morning show.
Hi, Jordy.
She's running. She's like, oh my gosh, I should have never walked in my mom's room. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. And don't forget, tomorrow we will be live. It is our monthly pop-up marketing pop-up with Real Social. So we'll be live tomorrow with Whitney and Kim. So bring all your social media questions. So, all right. Bye, guys.
Bye.